You know, the best part of this entire process for me is a chance to meet you all. From block to block and event to event across Jersey City, I genuinely enjoy meeting you as well as listening to you. I listen to your concerns and the expectations you have for our city's leadership. I listen to your stories about the city you and I both call home and love. I also listen to your suggestions on how where you live can be better. Listening to you helps me connect and understand the communities I enjoy serving. So the next time you see me out and about, say hello.
Hello and good evening. Welcome to our second installment of Stay with Spears. As you guys know, we created this program to offer some exclusive insight into Lewis's Stay platform and to discuss his vision for Jersey City. So this week, we are focusing on the T, which stands for Training and Education. And anyone who knows Mr. Lewis Spears knows that he is very passionate about education. He's held various positions, teaching positions and administration positions. And so it is no surprise that it's a priority in his platform. So, Lewis.
Hey, how's it going?
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited. You know, this is our niche right here, the education thing. So I'm ready
Yes.
to go.
Yes, I am too. I'm ready to.
So let's talk about why public education is so important for the future of our city.
So, going around right now talking to the communities and after having delving into a bunch of research, Jersey City is about 88%, has an 88% graduation rate, which is comparable to that of the state. However, the poverty level, right? The poverty level is double that of the state. And that in and of itself gives me pause, right? Because we already know that the lack of opportunity drives crime and that poverty rates are related to the crime rates, right? But at the same time, in Jersey City, we have big businesses across all of the industries and they're right here in Jersey City, which means that a great education system would allow our kids to have access to the opportunities through internships and also be like world class, ready once they graduate high school. And so, public education, post post secondary success here in Jersey City should be connected to or be defined by economic freedom, right? So when I think about public education, that we must invest. We must invest in the kids, which is the most important investment that we can make in Jersey City. And it saddens me that that hasn't been the case in within the past 8 years.
So, I love that word invest, right? Investing in the future is so important when we're talking about the youth. And so it's actually a hot button issue right now. So I would love for you to talk about what you think the biggest, most pressing issue is when it comes to funding and investing in our schools.
So um, this conversation is so complex. And so I'm going to answer it, but then I'm also going to invite folks to come out to the volunteer soiree that we have at O'Leary's on Tuesdays at 6:30. Um, because this is so complex, but I'm trying to answer it in this way. Essentially, our community, our schools did not benefit from the corporate deals at the waterfront in our community, right? So in 2013 2013 through 2017, there were a bunch of tax abatements given, and when tax abatements are given, our schools are not necessarily funded. And I could go over that formula, on Tuesday, and so I just that's essentially the issue. The state has given us a formula which focuses a lot on socioeconomic the socioeconomics of families. They talk a lot about you know what the basically the state gives a standard, right? And it's like I want to go really deep into it right now, but I know that we're going to run out of time. So the state has a standard, and they gave us a formula by which to use in terms of how much they're going to give us, and we had to be very strategic about when we were inviting big businesses to come into our community. We had to be considerate about the ecosystem, so that we weren't just investing in the city, but that we were also invested in schools, that we we're also invested in the transportation, that we we're also investing in the whole ecosystem of it. And unfortunately, we just focused on the development and we didn't pay attention to the other aspects of community.
So, what are some of your suggestions for how we could fix it?
Oh man. Oh man, and so definitely, I, there never there are no easy fixes with this. We're gonna look at the taxpayers, of course, right? The state's formula. We're gonna re-examine that and figure out, if we could, assist in changing it with, through our relationships with the people at the state level. Um, the other thing is with the redevelopers, right? That we want to ensure that we have the responsible, accountable relationships with redevelopers. And so when investing in our community, we want to make sure that there's a structural piece associated with it that includes funding schools. Which is huge, and I also want to give way to the cannabis industry and how they just voted that we should give half of the proceeds, the money that we collect from the cannabis industry, that we give half of that to the school system, which would be a great help, right? But we will have a lot of work to do.
Nice. So, when we talk about funding the schools, right, what do you
Hmm.
think some of the things that we need to put money towards in terms of infrastructure?
Oh my gosh. And so, right, the infrastructure of the school buildings, right? When you think about the raging pandemic and that we don't have ventilation systems in schools all across the community, that is alarming to me, right? That the when it's really really hot outside and we don't have air conditioning for youth, or we have the roofs leaking in classrooms, that is not conducive to effective education, right? And children, um, I'm afraid that we're giving the wrong message, right? Because children's surroundings are an indicator of how we feel about them, and because I know that's true, I wonder what our kids think about who we think they are, right? Based on what we allow them to sit in. So yeah, infrastructure is going to be huge.
I agree.
I,
So,
oh, but also too, sorry, the water, right? Drinking water, right? There's no, that's mind-boggling to me, and I think it's very important, right, as a community, that we began to come up with those, not just with the infrastructure, but the drinking water, and then right, we'll move into other things like the disparities, right, with the have and the have-nots. I'm talking particularly about the special education youth versus the general education youth, and how within this past year, right, that gap has widened, and we're going there's a lot of work that we're going to have to do with the education system in order to affect change in the community as a whole.
absolutely. So, working in the school building, I definitely can't disagree with what you say. Some of the teachers, we have a lot of these complaints. And when parents come in and they are upset about the conditions that their children are learning in, it makes sense. We can't argue with that. So, really quickly, I want to give some shout outs. I see we have Nancy Rivera, Omar Jones, we have Kareem Clark. Hi,
Hey
guys. Thank you
everybody.
so much for tuning in. We are excited to have you guys here. Feel free to ask questions because we're going to do some Q&A at the end of this. So, Lewis, we talk a lot about children, but what are your plans for adults, right? And getting them some training that they need.
Yeah, so it's funny because when I say training, folks automatically think that I'm speaking directly about youth, but it's for adults as well. Investing in retraining, right? Because a lot of the skill sets that many of adults have, are awesome, and will need to be refreshed or redeveloped or developed in many cases, right? So making sure that first we create the training around 21st century needs, but then also reaching out to the EDA to ensure that building partnerships with the EDA. With the state to ensure that these types of jobs are being implanted in our communities, and that our citizens, our Jersey City residents, get first dibs at these state of the art, these high level positions.
Nice, nice. We also have Ida Cologne in the building. Thanks for joining us. Robert Wiggins is also in the building. Thank you guys. It's so exciting. We love to feel your energy. So I'm loving the
Yes,
emojis. I'm loving the energy from our viewers. We thrive off of this type of energy. And so because we are so excited about this, right? This is our niche right here, the education piece of this. So, the youth, they're definitely our future. And I
yes.
know, Lewis, that there have been questions about how your experience in education is transferable to a mayoral position. So, can you talk a little bit about how those skills are transferable?
So that's, out of all the questions that I received, that's the most interesting question that I had to answer, right? Because it's never a time where you go from one city and you will hire a previous mayor to say, hey, why don't you become mayor of our particular city, right? Essentially, if you're not an incumbent, then you're coming in needing to learn the job, right? And so, as an educator, I work directly with parents and teachers, and students, right, in order to uh, create systems that were robust for those people in that ecosystem, right? And then and that was as a teacher and also as a leader, right? And then as a nonprofit executive director and founder, right, I had to build relationships with the private sector and community leaders and those folks to enhance the program that we needed for our young men in the city. And then even now with my current job, where I'm working with the commissioners and the judge and prosecutors to ensure that our youths are getting the services most appropriate to their needs. And so what does that mean? I have relationships with folks. Right, because when I think about what it takes to be a mayor, right, the mayor has to have a clear vision. The mayor has to have goals and reach and incremental structures and systems. And so all of those areas in which I occupied, I had to create those systems, and now I'm just going to transfer them into city government. And I believe, right, with those systems in place for city government, man, I see Jersey City growing exponentially, because we're going to be focused on the systems that I've learned, and I'm really excited about it.
Nice.
Sorry,
So,
Miss Brown, I could talk all day about it, right? Because I love organizational structure and all of that stuff. It gives me it gives me excitement. So sorry about that.
no, it's good. It's good. People want to know, right? You have unique ideas about what you would bring to the school system, and so I want you to talk a little bit about the youth advisory board. I know you've mentioned that in different arenas, but could you talk a little bit about that?
So on this trail, as a mayoral candidate, it gives me great pleasure to speak to youth on the trail. The other day, we were downtown. Sorry, and we know it as a Spanish Via, right? But it has a more formal name, right across the street from BJ's and ShotRite. We saw about four young men there, and I said, do you mind if I ask you a question? And they go, sure. I'm like, so, what is it that you need that the city isn't providing for us? And they started rambling about some really amazing things. And I was just really excited, and I smiled at them. And it's not that our kids don't know, it's that we haven't asked them, right? On a trail, I asked a young lady, hey, so what is it that's very important to you, that you need in terms of education? And she said it as clearly as the day is long, right? I feel like an old person, right? Right. I was with the seniors earlier today, so I feel their spirit is with me right now. But she said, I want to be able to graduate high school with my high school diploma and know that I am ready for the real world. Right, that I could, because some of us don't want to go to college, right, and some of us, don't necessarily, don't need, basically don't have the money to do it, right, or the familial structure to make it happen, right. So how do we keep our kids ready for the world, graduating from high school? And so when I think about the youth advisory board, this is going to be paramount to our success in the city. Why? Because these are going to be youth in our community who we engage, who we provide employment to, and who we empower to be ambassadors in our communities to
Yeah.
really, really help us, right? Help us understand the plight of the youth, and the plight of of the things that they're going through, so that we can really come up with solutions. And they're going to be a part of the problem solving. And so the youth advisory board, I'm really, really excited to get it kicked off, because I know that this is going to be the panacea to the growth of our community as a whole. I know that for a
Absolutely.
fact. Yeah.
And I see we have some former students on the live. So
Oh my gosh.
we are excited to have
Ooh.
you guys here. Make sure you share. Continue to send your questions. I'm loving your comments. They're funny. Raheem Bowens, I see you. Beth Collins, thank you for joining us. At this time, we're
Yes.
going to roll you our latest campaign promo, and we'll be right back after that.
You know, the best part of this entire process for me is a chance to meet you all. From block to block and event to event across Jersey City, I genuinely enjoy meeting you as well as listening to you. I listen to your concerns and the expectations you have for our city's leadership. I listen to your stories about the city you and I both call home and love. I also listen to your suggestions on how where you live can be better. Listening to you helps me connect and understand the communities I enjoy serving. So the next time you see me out and about, say hello.
I love that promo.
You know, it's,
Also, in the comments, make sure if you want Lewis to come to your neighborhood, please let us know where you are. Send us an inbox. Let us know what areas of the city you live in, and he will show up. He will be there. Hi,
yes.
Jasmine.
Hi, Jasmine. I saw Jasmine at the barbershop yesterday. She gave me so much life. She's an amazing educator in our community at PS 39. I am, and she goes to Mount Pisgah. Man, I love her. So, hello, how are you?
We have Terry Rogers. Hi,
I,
Terry.
Terry knew me since I was a baby in Booker T Projects, and she just said that my dad would be proud, and that just brought a smile to my heart. Thank you so much.
Nice, nice. So, Lewis, let's talk a little bit about curriculum. I know that this is a strong suit of yours. and the work that you do with Kismet of Kings also. So, can you kind of tell us a little bit about your thoughts on what curriculums, um, how curriculum should be, particularly for urban public schools?
So this topic is so fun. And so as an administrator, we basically came up with standards for our youth, right? And we would work backwards, right, in order to figure out, hey, what is it that they need to do on a daily basis, right? And so one particular thing that I think is very important, that we start with the end in mind, and one of the things that I think should happen as internships at the end of their high school career, right? And so, how does that look? How do we, scale back? What are we doing out their freshman year to prepare them? What are we doing their sophomore year, right? And so, internships in high school would lead, ideally, to skills that they could use outside of the classroom and in the real world, which could lead to jobs, which could lead to careers and opportunities and access, right? And so I grew up in Jersey City, as all of you know, went to Ferris High School, and I was part of the business magnet program. And my senior year, my internship was at American Express. And at that moment, I thought that I wanted to be a CPA. And I realized working in a cubicle for 8 hours a day wasn't what I wanted to do. But I also had peers at Ferris, and all of us had different internships in my senior year, and some of them worked at Persian Field in high school, and they still work there, not even having gone to college, and they're making a good living for their families, and they still live here in Jersey City, which is a testament to what we can do with our curricula. And I just wanted to focus on the internship right now. There's so much that we can actually delve into. Particularly with the socioeconomic learning, socio-emotional learning, that's so pertinent to the curricula, that's going to allow our youth to feel like they belong in the classroom, or feel connected to their peers, or feel connected to their teachers. The internships, but also other things that we could definitely focus on, are totally important for curricula.
Absolutely. So I see we have Monica. Hi, Monica.
Hey,
We have
Monica.
Mr. French. Mount Pisgah
Hi,
is
Miss
in the
French.
building.
Yeah, they're amazing. Reverend Hurst is an amazing guy.
Awesome, awesome. Thanks for tuning in. So, Lewis, can
Yes.
you talk a little bit about your perspectives on the vocation of learning, right? We know that school, college is not necessarily for everyone. So, can you talk a little bit about what your thoughts are on vocations?
And so I'm really excited that, look, I'm excited about everything, right? But I love education. It gives me a great deal of excitement. But the state of New Jersey, we do very well at creating opportunities for young people to go to college for free, whether it's community colleges or state colleges or universities. We have created programs. We have programs here that could allow students to go to college for free. What I would like to push the state, and also partner with folks in the state at the state level with CTE, career and technical education, where we are providing those services for free too, right? Because I understand that we may have chefs in the building, or we might have mechanics in the building, or any other career that doesn't necessarily need college, right? And so we need to partner and ensure that those types of programs are given to our people in Jersey City for free as well. And so I love the CTE programs, because I know that some of our youth have responsibilities at home, and doing a 4 year college. You know, going to school for 4 years may not be conducive to their family life, right? And although it doesn't make me feel good, I understand the circumstances of folks. And so, going to an 18-month program or a 2-year program or something even shorter could definitely give them an option to create a life for themselves, beyond high school as well.
Nice. And so, so we talked about post-secondary college, we talked about vocations, and what about entrepreneurship? Because that seems to kind of be the wave right now, right? That's a big buzzword when it comes to young people. And so, talk a little bit about that, your thoughts on entrepreneurship for young people.
you know, uh, I feel so behind the ball, right? Our young folks, they are amazing. They create their own world on TikTok
They
and
create
Instagram.
everything.
Oh my god. Oh my
We
gosh.
are late. I would say
Yeah.
that we are
Oh
late to that
yeah.
party.
Absolutely. So like, 2021, I'm like, oh, I have a TikTok. They're like, Mr. Spears, we're on to something next. Something we're on to the next, essentially. We're on to the next thing. And so a lot of our youth, and we don't necessarily have these types of programs in our city, and that's what I will be intentional about bringing, is the entrepreneurial strand, right? What does it mean to incorporate a business? What does it mean to to sell goods, and have a business plan, and how, whether you're going to do an online or in-person store, right? Or what product are you going to sell, and how are you going to sell it, right? All of that. Our kids are definitely interested in it, and if we don't get ahead of that, we're going to be behind the ball as a city, because although providing jobs, that's uber important, and that's also part of our platform. We also have to think about what the needs are for our youth, and many of them simply want to own their business. They don't necessarily want to work a 9 to 5, and they see their impact being outside of that structure. And so, why not equip them with the business acumen in order to be successful?
Absolutely, absolutely. Just a couple of more shout outs. I see we have Lorraine Wilson in the building. Good
Hi,
evening.
Lorraine.
Tatiana Martin, thank you for
Hi,
joining us.
how are you?
And so we'll take a quick break. We're going to roll another promo from the campaign.
Jersey City made me who I am today.
Talk to me nice, talk to me honestly. Look in my eyes, don't let it fall on me. Say you a good guy, make me believe it. Don't wanna hear it, I wanna see it. See how.
My name is Louis Spears. I am an educator and community leader, and I will be the next mayor of Jersey City.
I always love the ending of that promo. I will be the mayor of Jersey City. I love it.
I can't help but to dance when I hear it.
So we're going to do some audience questions. So, if you have questions for Lewis, please put them in the chat. I can't see everything, so please have a little bit of patience with us. We have moderators who are taking the questions and fielding them to us. So let's talk about Hot 97, right? The mayor a couple of weeks ago was on Hot 97. They were doing this big promo to get kids vaccinated. What are your thoughts on that? Because I have my own thoughts, but this is about you and your vision. So, what do you think about that? That huge push to entice kids with summer jam tickets to get vaccinated.
So I just have to start off by saying I am vaccinated, and I take great pride in the ability to know that I won't be able to harm my community, right, by spreading the virus, right. I'm just very concerned with the very thing, right. So when it was announced, it was about 2 weeks and a day. right? So most of our youth who would have been fully vaccinated for the Hot 97 concert, they needed more time than that. And so, I'm waiting for the stats to say how many youths were fully vaccinated. Because essentially, I think that there should be a push, but I'm not sure if that should have been it. For me, it felt very political. It felt like a political stunt. I don't think that, playing with our youth lives in this way should be in any form or fashion political, right? Because essentially, where's the vaccinations for violence, right? And if there's a real care, right, we will be talking about it in a holistic approach, from a holistic approach, and not simply from the vaccinations. Again, I will support any initiative to get our kids, to protect our youths, right? I would do anything.
Yes.
Um, but however, I'm not for playing Russian roulette with our youth's lives. That's just isn't something that I'm into, and I'm really annoyed by the fact that this was an actual
No,
yeah, campaign or whatever the push
poor
was.
taste.
It
I
was
think that
very
there
poor
could have
taste.
been an incentive for some other more pressing issues that our young people are facing. And
But
also, the vaccination is a personal choice in their families, right? So it's like you're catering to the kids, but you also have to cater to the family because everybody, it's a choice, it's a personal choice. And their parents are ultimately the ones who are going to make that decision as to whether or not they will be vaccinated. So,
I'm not saying it in a comparative state, right? Where you need to focus on this or that. I think we need to focus on it all, right?
mhm.
But I don't appreciate how it was just done in poor taste. Now, let's say our youths they go to summer jam, right, and have a great time. They go back to school right now because that's a super spreader event if folks are not necessarily vaccinated, and I don't think many of our youth would be fully vaccinated by the time anyway, right? And so what are we saying, what are we doing? I could come up with at least 10 things that we could do, right? Where we engage our youth in creating TikToks around the importance of vaccinations, right? And play those videos in school between classes so that's a constant visual in our buildings. We could have clubs, health clubs, in each of our schools where they are meeting and talking about the public health of our community, not
Right.
just with vaccines, but also with other things, right? Create posters and initiatives around school buildings. There are so many things that we could do and be very creative in this space. I just wish that our leadership would really be vested in our youth, because then they would know that these are options.
Absolutely. So I see that we have a lot of questions and comments regarding the mayor's house, right? And so I'm going to encourage you guys to tune into our next one where we're talking about access and affordability in Jersey City. And then we can key and sip tea about this $2.4 million house that our mayor has. But as for tonight, we are focusing on training and education. So Tatiana Martin had a question about programs for special needs. And so I don't know if the public is aware, Lewis, you do have a special education background. And so her question is specifically, do you have any plans for more help and programs for special needs children?
So, in general, when we're talking about socialization, my visceral reaction is to not necessarily single special education students with special education services out, right? So I know for the city that there's through recreation that there's like a special education. League where we invite general ed students to be a part of it. I love the integration of special education use, or youth with special education needs into the general fold and really support them in those efforts, right? Because at the end of the day, we don't have a separate supermarket, right? We don't have a separate laundromat for youth with special education. who receive special education services, and so the quicker we help them to socialize and to um, you know um, be a part of the community,
That's right.
the,
Include
the,
them.
the
Be inclusive.
quicker,
Yep.
absolutely, the quicker they'll be able to be independent. And I'm clear that some of our youths with such education needs may never be totally independent, but they will get necessary skills that will help them to get through and really have a quality of life that is not subpar to anything else, right? So those are my goals. Special education, it has a special place in my heart, and I have family members who were, who had IEPs, and that's how I gained the love for it. And so whatever I want for my family members is what I want for the community at large.
So we have another question from Monica. She had a question about reentry programs for kids coming out of detention centers. And so I love this question because I know that you have pretty strong thoughts about this, and this is actually an area of expertise for you. So, I'm gonna let you take the reins on this.
So, Ms. Moss, the most interesting thing about where I am right now is I'm able to work directly with detention centers and credible messengers and individuals who are doing the work. And so the main thing, how will you enhance the reentry program for our youth? And so it starts with building solid relationships with them while they are in the detention centers,
Hmm.
right? On where we are letting them know that, listen, we are the triage, or we are the bridge from the detention center to the real world, if you will, right? And then ensuring that employment opportunities are there as soon as they get out, right? And I use this analogy all the time, Miss Moss. You probably heard it, but I just want to say it for the masses. um, I have two boys, as you all know, AJ, who's a 4-year-old, and Bo, who's an 18-month-old. And so we never had to buy, like, stoppers for the socket for AJ. But for Bo, because he's been here a couple of times before, we had to, and we have to. And so when he's about to go to the socket, we're very much like, hey, 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 look over here, look, we have food for you. We have a drink for you, right? We have a toy for you. And basically, we dangle something in front of him to deter him from, mischievous acts, if you will. And so with our youth, what is it that we're dangling in front of them? All right. And so with the reentry program, we would have taken inventory of the things that they like, right? We would have taken inventory at their amazing skill sets. We would have we would know the job opportunities, the employment opportunities. So what are we going to dangle in front of them to let them know that, like, the streets ain't the streets are not where it is, but where it is healthy living, right? Being a productive citizen of society, making positive choices for you and your family's future. And so, just making sure that we have employment readily available, that we have enrichment programs readily available, recreational activities available, so that they could get lost in those activities, and we deter them from making, bonehead decisions that most of our youth make.
And I would say, we all need the opportunity to right our wrongs, right? And be given
Absolutely.
access to certain quality of living, just because you made a
Ms. Brown,
mistake.
yeah, but as you know too, right? Mistakes build character, right? Especially when you learn from them. If you're able to look at them objectively, right? You're like, oh, I made that mistake, and I'm not going to do that because it didn't yield a positive, outcome. And so, I think it's a rites of passage being a young person. But I also think that as adults, that we have to create the safe haven for when they do make mistakes, that we create the loophole for them to come back into the fold, and and enjoy this quality of life, right? That we've created for them, because none of us are infallible.
And so, along with that question about the detention centers, I think it's important for you to talk about the diversion programs that you are currently working on in the county, right? Talk to them about station house adjustment and the work that you're doing there.
Yeah. It's so these diversion programs are so crucial to the quality of life of youth, but bigger than that, for the bigger community. I don't think that if you make a decision at the age of 16 or 17, that that should define you for the rest of your life, right? And so if we could create as many opportunities as possible, so that our youth do not have to trust the justice system, and that they have connections to more positive and productive outlets in the community, then we should utilize those outlets, right? And so, in general, a program like Station House Adjustment is so paramount to optimal development, right? Because with the Station House Adjustment, instead of youths being locked up or having like a negative stain on their record, they're able to go to a diversion program where they are able to understand the harm that they have done to the community and right their wrongs in one way, form, or in one shape or form. What am I saying, Miss Brown? In one shape or form of another.
They know what you're trying to say, Lewis.
No, in one form or shape, or you get what I'm saying. That they have access to this diversion program so that they could right their wrongs. And so what does that mean? If a youth spray paints on a particular building because they think that it's cool, they think it's fun, and they have a message that they want to deliver to the masses, and they get caught, instead of going to detention centers, that they'll have an opportunity to go to the station house adjustment program, and the person, their advisor will be able to build a relationship with the store owner and say, listen, go back to the store and clean off the store, right? And then also write a letter of apology to the owner, and then, right, like, how else can we market something, right? Create a logo, post it on Instagram, post it on social media, and you will get the same type of response, right? And so station house adjustments and working on them, and coming up with the program and working with the pilot in Jersey City is giving me a great deal of insight, and I'm really excited that we have this vantage point to affect change in the lives of our youth in a real way.
Yes. And so, I think it's important to just acknowledge the fact that, we often have people in leadership and in government who are making decisions about our youth and education, and they don't have a clue. And so, it's really exciting to have someone with the background and the know how. You have it from the school perspective, you have it from the administrative perspective, but then you also have it from a government perspective.
Hmm.
So, I think that's really neat. You have a bird's eye view of what it takes to run programs and connecting the youth and their families to what they need to be successful.
Absolutely.
So,
The biggest thing of it all is that I just know and love people, right? You just have to be a peopleologist. I just made that up. A
right, I was about
peopleologist, right? Right, because essentially, being able to connect with people, understand what the issues are, and bringing them into the fold to create real life changes, man, like that's the crux of a lot of what we do from a governmental perspective, but also from an education perspective as well.
awesome, awesome. Just a couple of more shout outs. We have Tamika Borum. She's viewing.
Hi, Tamika.
We have Miss Sharon. Hi, Miss Sharon Rankin. How are you? Hi, Miss Shauna.
Yeah. Hi, Mashada. How are you?
Happy to see you. Well, not see you, but to know that you're here because I can't see you, but you're visible. That's exciting. Thank you for joining us.
Absolutely.
And so as we are inching, to our closeout, What advice would you give to a young person growing up in Jersey City?
So, I am you, you're me, right? That we are one, and that it doesn't it doesn't make me excited when I hear that this guy who went to 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 Harvard after living in the projects and dealing with the hardships of urban education. All right, that doesn't make me excited because I don't want to be an anomaly. I want that to be the common theme for our youth in Jersey City. That no matter what part of the city that you grow up and or where you come from, that your dreams are valid, and that the system, that the school system, that the community, that we're going to work in concert to ensure that you get there, right? And so I know that most of our youth are going to leave the nest for multiple reasons, right? You want to explore, the newness of life. You want to get away from the crazy parents, right? You want to, work. You want to be independent. And my goal and my desire is for our youth to know that they can always come back to Jersey City, because as the mayor of Jersey City, I'm going to ensure that that it will be a better place than where they left it, right? And so bring your skills back here, bring your desire, bring your heart back to Jersey City, because this is an amazing place, and I would love to continue to build with those who are actually who actually understand what it's like to grow up here in Jersey City.
Awesome. Thank you for that. That's a nice way to close out. For our viewers, if you are interested in supporting this movement, please like, share, follow. Get 5 people to follow, get 5 people to donate or more. Please check out our online store. We have merch. I don't know if you can see these Stay with Spears t-shirts. Woo woo! We have those on sale in our store. And please make sure to tune in 2 weeks. We are going to be talking about the A in his platform, access and affordability. I see that we did have some questions about healthcare affordability. And so I think that that's an area we can also talk about as we continue to do these lives. So just acknowledging that, Lewis is really big on listening to the people. So that's why I want to make sure that I'm acknowledging your comments and your questions, even though they don't pertain to the topic of the evening. So without further ado, everyone, please enjoy your night. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll be back here in 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Jersey City made me who I am today.
Talk to me nice, talk to me honestly. Look in my eyes, don't let it fall on me. Say you're a good guy, make me believe it. Don't wanna hear it, I wanna see it. See how.
My name is Lewis Spears. I am an educator and community leader, and I will be the next mayor of Jersey City.